The so-called Diagnostic and Statistical Manual is really anything but diagnostic, or statistical for that matter.
What it is a book that contains thousands of symptoms that have a number to it. When you build insurance companies, you can't say the word. You've got to say a number. And they have numbers for the most ridiculous things. You know, like arguing with your mother, or peeing in the bed, or arguing with your sister.
So the DSM is basically an arbitrary classification of thoughts, moods, and behavior decided upon by a committee of psychiatrists who are picked by the American Psychiatric Association.
They create this cluster disease, and they get together and they vote. Is this a disease? All in favor say aye. You know, if they have a majority vote or however they vote on this cluster of normal systems, of normal behaviors together, and they create these diseases.
Each volume has grown by 15 or 20 new, quote, disorders, diseases, and every time they have a patient in the office, they tell you that this new invented disease is a real disease. And that's the way they make a patient out of a normal person, out of a normal child, out of a normal infant even.
What you have in psychiatry is a pseudoscience. It's not scientific at all. It is a diagnosis of fabrication. It's a fabricated illness. So now you have the psychiatrist wearing the mantle of MD, but it's a pseudo mantle because he doesn't do tests. He doesn't do blood tests. He doesn't do physical exams.
If we just stop here and we step outside the biological brain disease model and we look at the actual facts and the actual data, there are no facts and data supporting the brain disease model, and there's no facts and data supporting many treatments and many things that psychiatrists claim.
There is not one shred of credible evidence that any respectable scientist would consider valid, demonstrating that anything that psychiatrists call mental illness are brain diseases or biochemical imbalances. It's all fraud.
It's bogus that you can even accurately identify who has the behavior of schizophrenia. It's bogus that you can tag it to genes. It's bogus that you can detect those genes through any kind of test. So the whole thing is basically bogus.
So we can theoretically find a way to drug every set of symptoms that's different from what we think should be normal. So we could have hundreds of different situations and diagnoses in the future in which we're attempting to drug. So you just extrapolate that over a couple of generations, and it could be the fall of our civilization.
We're spending millions, billions on the totally fraudulent contrivances of psychiatry.
To me, this is a house of cards. And you can take off one or two cards at the top, or you can knock over the whole thing. I prefer knocking over the whole thing.
Psychiatry in all of this time doesn't have one case report of one disease validated, not one. What they do is they meet at the American Psychiatric Association. They meet in the DSM committee, Diagnostic Statistical Manual Committee, and they vote on making new behavioral and emotional disorders. And they vote, and then they start immediately calling them diseases. And they tell people, they tell the public these are diseases. Total fraud. Total fraud.
The actual truth about chemical balance is that it's an actual lie. Nobody has yet measured, demonstrated, or created a test to show that somebody has a chemical imbalance in their brain. Period.
What the American public should be thinking about is when they or their loved ones or their friends have received a psychiatric diagnosis, they should be asking the doc, geez, doc, where's the chemical test for that? Where is the objective test for this? And I guarantee you that they'll be told, we don't have a chemical test for that.
There are no biological tests for any mental illnesses that I'm aware of.
There are not current available tests to verify your diagnosis.
There is no test. There is no specific test to differentiate between, let's say, schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Not a single test.
Yeah, we have not really confirmatory test for the diagnosis.
There is no test, there's no biopsy you can do that says this person is depressed, this person is bipolar.
We don't have anything really currently to identify mental illness per se.
No, there are no specific tests to confirm the diagnosis or show the improvement, like any blood tests or any x-rays or anything like that.
Oh, in my practice I don't do any tests. I just speak with people and listen to them, and then I make a decision in what kind of illness there should be.
We don't really have any specific blood tests or other tests that are definitive for any mental illness whatsoever.
What kind of biological tests do we have available today for detecting mental illnesses?
None.
There is no rational science behind what they think is the cause of these symptoms. The medications that are being given to people are, without exception, introducing chemicals that are altering the brain in ways which can be very damaging. And I'll go a step further and say that in the absence of a proven chemical imbalance for which the medications are, quote, rebalancing or fixing, the medications are in fact toxic.
How many patients have you been able to cure so far?
I would say one.
How many people have I cured? Well, there are no real cures right now in psychiatry.
The idea of you asked me about the issue about how many people I've cured. I don't know that any of us are ever completely cured of anything.
I have not been able to cure many patients.
I have cured none of my patients.
So you have to ask the classic Roman question, legal question, cui bono, who benefits?